And then offensively, just trying to make her do things she didn't want to do. And I think what happened in overtime is we just made a couple mistakes that gave her 2 open shots. And you can't give a player like that an open look, whether they're on, half a leg or not. So of course that's who she is, so it's no surprise, and that's why you can't make those mistakes.
And Sue, I think I'm up. Just the feeling of the locker room. I know the finality of it. What's everybody? Is there a collective mood, or is it just sinking in now?
Yeah, I mean, there's you name it.
Yeah.
You name it. It's a little bit of sadness, a little bit of disappointment. Probably some thoughts of I wish I would have done that. I wish we could have done this. It's a melting pot of all the emotion. But of course, simultaneously, you can get reflective in that moment and understand, we had a lot of up and downs this season, but I think we can all be very proud of the effort that we put out every single time we stepped on the floor. No, we didn't always win every game, but I think this group can really be proud of all the things we went through, and again, being able to step on the floor every night, staying together. So there are some elements of that as well.
You've been around for a long time. Is there some way you have in terms of once the season's over, you do this to kind of think about, well, is it life happens and you go on?
Yeah, I mean, it's always weird when it ends. We've just spent X amount of months kind of being in the same routine, getting up, going to practice. I think if I were to explain it, it would just be purpose. You have this purpose when you're in a season, and all of a sudden, blink of an eye, it's gone. We'll wake up tomorrow and probably feel weird because we have nowhere to go and nothing to do, except maybe for those that aren't from here, live here, pack your bags. What's also unique about women's basketball is they might be overseas in like 5 minutes. So it's actually just very weird. There's like an anticlimactic, whether you win or lose, it's kind of, it just boom, your whole life changes overnight. But I think for me personally, I don't go overseas. I wake up tomorrow and I'm like, well, this is weird. I have nowhere to go. I have no purpose. I'm not like eating to get ready for practice and practicing and when's the next game. It's just gone.
Let's go to Jeff Brown. Jeff, go ahead.
Katie Lou, do you take any solace in scoring a career high today with the 18 points? I know you obviously would want the win, but you played extremely well in this game.
I mean, I think just feeling good about leaving it all out there. Maybe when it comes down to it, all of us trade probably anything we do to come up with a play at the end to win the game. So I don't know, there's a lot of emotions.
And then Mercedes, talk about just the difficulty of having to defend Brittany Griner out there.
Yeah, well, obviously we know she's a load. She's having a great year this year, averaging 20 plus, 10 plus rebounds. So I think just as a team, we wanted to make it difficult for her. Obviously, she's going to get some right around the basket. She's a good player, but it was just a few that I think we could have taken away. But I mean, at the end of the day, we played hard, and we just try to make it difficult for her.
Let's go to Erica. Go ahead, Erica.
Mercedes, I'll stick with you, please. Can you talk about what Seattle was able to do in that second quarter in particular, and then how you felt that you were able to play in the fourth and then overtime?
Yeah, so in the second quarter, we held them to 9 points defensively, so we did a really good job just creating tough shots for them and just running on offense. I think that gave us a lot of momentum going into halftime. And then coming out, we knew they were going to give us a punch, but I think we were solid. Just came down to a few little plays at the end of the day.
And Lou, for you, Coach Quinn talked about this being your first opportunity to get some playoff experience. I mean, for you, I know it's very fresh, but what are you hoping to take away from this experience?
I mean, just taking it, moving forward, building on it, I think is one of the biggest things. I feel like I played as hard as I could. I left it out there and taking what I've done and building from it and going into my next season overseas or WNBA.
And Sue, if I can come to you, wasn't tuned into ABC since I was here, but I'm just curious, what was your exchange with Diana Taurasi? We saw that you swapped the jerseys.
Yeah, I mean, We had planned on that before the game. We've never done it before. It's obviously the reality is it might be the last time we play against each other. So just want to take that time. I think it's just a sign of respect. And then Holly jumped in there, really tried to get me going. But in terms of the jersey exchange, like I said, we had talked about it before.
Let's go take some Zoom questions.
We'll start off here with a question from Michelle Vopel. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, Sue, we're coming up now in almost 20 years since a team's been able to repeat as champion with LA, and you've talked about over the years just how many things have to go right, even if you're a really good team. And we've seen some great teams, your team and Minnesota included, haven't been able to do that. Is that just a matter of how tough this league is?
Yes, absolutely. Sadie's just touched on even in this one game, right? It's the 4 seed versus the 5 seed. And it really came down to like a couple possessions going their way and not going our way, or maybe a mistake we made that went their way. And that's what the WNBA is. It's just like a few possessions. And when you have a league like that, when you're trying to defend, and I touched on this the other day, it's usually the hungrier team that comes out and finds a way to win. So when you are the defending team and any team who has won and comes back and tries to defend that title, you understand you're taking every team's best shot. They're always going to be hungry against you. So it's a challenge in that way. And, of course, I was actually thinking about this the other day. It's like, given the new CBA and the player movement we've already seen, I think it's going to get even harder to defend your title because there's probably going to be player movement. A team like Minnesota, they got to keep their core together and it was still hard. A team like us, we had a lot of movement and I imagine that's how it's going to be moving forward. So whereas Minnesota was that dynasty for a while, I don't know if that's going to be the case, just given how the rules are. So it's hard, it's tough, no doubt. And it's why we don't see it happen very often.
And can you take us through what you think your process is going to be in terms of making a decision on whether you'll keep playing or do you know yet, like how you're going to space this out time wise, how you're going to think about it and what process you're going to go through?
I have no idea. I've been really trying to like push away those thoughts because I've said this time and time again. I knew I wasn't going to be able to function this season if I thought to myself, this is the last one. I just knew it was going to impact me negatively mentally. And even today, when you have the fans chant one more year, the minute I even like let myself think about it, it makes me want to cry. So I've really been pushing it off, just wanting to focus on this season. And, it's a first time for me. I'll be honest. This is the first off season where I feel like I need to weigh it. Usually I'm like, nope, one more year. If I feel good, I'll be there. And I think this is the first time where I'm really gonna have to sit back and just kind of, I don't know, see how I feel, weigh some things. I know for sure that I want to let the emotion of the season die down. I don't want to make some emotional decision. And I also feel very lucky that physically I'm still, it's not the physical part that's quote unquote taking me down. It'll be my own decision. So I wish I could give you more. So I don't know, I'm gonna take it day by day, I guess.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Next question here is from M. Adler. Go ahead, M.
Hi. First question for Sadie is 45 minutes today. You're still really effective by the end of the game. What was it like for you just to play that low of the game?
Listen, I had to. Honestly, I wasn't really worried about getting a break or coming out or anything like that. I was just.
She got that 0.8.
Yeah, I got 0.8 of a break. That was enough for me.
I had you on that.
Just doing whatever the team needed.
Dang, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thanks. And then for Katie Lou, really difficult assignments in terms of how much you had to cover on defense and doubling and going back off. How was that for you? And also just how did it feel to have that level of impact on the game?
Yeah, I think in practice this whole week, we've kind of been preparing for Phoenix. We knew that it could change, but we've been going over what our game plan defensively has needed to be. And I feel like I was able to, just grasp the importance of being aware of where Diana is, but also understanding how much we need to help each other and help Sadie's and Ezzy with BG at the same time. So there's a lot that goes into defending Phoenix, but I feel like we played as hard as we could. We followed the scout, but it came down to just some plays that we could have done better here and there, but effort was good.
Next one here is from Jeff Metcalf. Go ahead, Jeff.
Sue, just a little more on Diana. You were talking yesterday about how everything changes when she's in the game. Did you feel that way today, even with her playing, kind of gimpy?
Of course, clearly she can still hit shots when left open. And given that you have to double team Brittany Griner, you're creating, numbers on the backside. And when one of those players is Diana, there's a little more stress involved. You're trying to scramble out. Lou just spoke to it. She's guarding her, but then she understands, whoever was guarding her, they understand they're going to have to help once we double BG. So there's just when someone like that is out there, it makes you a little more nervous when you're scrambling, because that's how good of a shooter she is.
And last one on Zoom here from Danny Thompson. Go ahead, Danny.
Ladies, thank you for taking time to speak with me. Danny Thompson with a 3-point conversion. This question is for everybody, but especially Sue. Sue, you've been in these games before, in plenty of these one-game situations, and it's been a clamor with the CBA, especially from fans, about the first 2 rounds actually being more of a series format. Do you think the league should go to more of a series format instead of the one-game single elimination games for the first 2 rounds, so that you can get more than just one game out of it?
Yes, 100%. I think we're at a point now too. And I've actually been really vocal on not wanting the single elimination, especially in this round for the 3rd and the 4th seed. I've said that when we were a 7 and 8, I've said it when we were 1 and 2. I really believe it. And I've also been vocal that I thought we should have 6 teams. And it was actually Megan the other day who made a really good point. And I'm kind of on this train now, which is if it's going to be 8 teams, it has to be series, because you're going to have a player like Arike Gubawale and you're only going to see her once. You don't even get a chance to really get going in a single elimination game. And I get the excitement. So there is that aspect for fans. But I think it's more exciting to see a player like that, a young player, an exciting player whose team, finishes whatever they finish, 6, 7, 8, and you get to see her 3 times, 2 or 3 times. That's also exciting from an entertainment standpoint, and we're an entertainment league. So I'm very adamant, whether it's 8 or 6, I still am very adamant. I think we want to see series. To me, if it's 8 teams, it should go 3-5-5. That's best case. Now there's no buys, there's no simulations. You throw the ball out and you see what happens.
All right, we need to wrap it up right now. We thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll be back with the Phoenix Mercury players in just a moment.